God.
It is setting up the meeting.
I actually have my laptop here also today, so I can also like just look at the comments.
Awesome.
Also.
Okay. We should be live now.
I can see us.
Yay. Okay.
Perfect.
And setting up the meeting. Oh, hello.
Sorry, that was hello everyone, we're live.
People have joined. Hi guys, I'm here with ASMR Eliza today to do the Fahrenheit 451 book club. So you can say hi, Eliza, if you want.
Hi everyone. I've got my tea ready, I've got my book ready. I actually have my notebook also because I did take some notes. This book really brought out like a nerd in me, and I made some notes.
I love it. That's so funny.
I know. Yeah, well
I kind of wish I had taken some notes at some point.
Yeah, I had a few. I turned over a few. I bookmarked a few pages.
Awesome.
Oh, good. Some people reread it. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is like a common book for people to read at school, right? But neither me or you.
Yeah, I never read it. I thought it was going to be very similar to, Orwell's, what is it, 1984?
Right, I haven't read that one either.
And it was a little bit similar in ideas. So
yeah, kind of dystopian themes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just giving people just a second to filter in.
And doesn't matter. I was gonna post saying that we're live now, but
Oh, you can if you want.
Matter. No, I know.
It's okay. Okay.
No, it's okay. I don't have it set up.
Oh, yeah. So I actually tried to listen to the book like at first, and I had such a hard time following it, just like listening to the audiobook, that I switched over to the paper book. But then I actually ended up switching back when I had a better idea of what the heck was going on.
Right. I'm glad that's not just me. I also like found myself like not sure what was real a lot, like not really sure what like they were describing. What did you think? Did you like the book? What did you think of it in general?
I hate to even I know people love it, and I feel so bad even saying I didn't enjoy it. I really didn't. And I think it's mostly because there was so much like philosophy in it, and like it was a very like academic and intellectual book, and I really just wanted like a science fiction story. I think.
Yeah, which is like Bradbury, he does write science fiction, right? Like his other books are science fiction. I was also gonna say that I found it really thought-provoking, and I found it kind of inspiring, but I wouldn't say that I necessarily enjoyed reading it. But I did find it inspiring, and I did like no, don't feel bad for suggesting it, because it's a really good, it's also like an important book to read, I think. It's like a modern classic, well, modern-ish, you know. But it is a classic, and it is a good book to read.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad to have read it, because it's something like I've always felt like I should have read.
Exactly.
And there were things that I enjoyed about it. Like I really liked the futuristic aspects of it, like when he talked about the technology, like the walls for the parlor. That was so cool to me. And the mechanical hound and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that kind of stuff I found really interesting. I also found it hard to picture. What were you imagining with like the parlor room, what were you imagining?
Just for me, like I would say it would be super, like just an entire wall that's a TV. And
Yeah,
just like really loud and bright colors and like
yeah,
talking all the time.
yeah,
Um, it was
yeah.
funny
I was thinking
because,
that too. Like wearing like a VR headset,
oh yeah,
but like an actual room of like VR.
yeah. I it was funny because so much of the book is like so loud in parts of it.
Mm.
And even listening to the audiobook, the narrator just screams through like
Yeah,
half of the dialogue. It was just, it's very anxiety provoking to read, even just
yeah,
on paper to read, the way Montag emphasizes his words and the way italics are used. It's like, this is stressful to read, I thought.
yeah. It did make me feel like uneasy, and I guess that like Bradbury did a really good job of conveying that kind of like, because like Montag feels kind of like a sense of unease that he can't really like put his finger on,
Right.
and I feel like that like came through for me. I felt like uncomfortable reading it, like uneasy without really being able to like pinpoint exactly why.
No, I totally agree. I think that it was very purposely done and very well done. It
Yeah,
was just like, it was hard to read at points.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
It wasn't.
gosh. Oh, there was a movie. Jared in the comments says there was an adaptation recently with Michael B. Jordan in the lead role. I hadn't seen it. Did you see it?
No, but just before this today, then I like just typed in Fahrenheit 451 on Google to look at like book club questions, and then I saw this movie with Michael B. Jordan, which seemed confusing to me.
Yeah, it makes it seem like sort of an action movie. I wonder
Yeah,
if they really,
which I don't know. I'm interested to see it. I think that there have been a couple of adaptations. I could be wrong, but I think that there's more than one. Maybe, yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure. And then Kent says, how much do we have that tech and how much of it it's really like the book? And
Mm,
I think it's funny you mentioned like VR headsets and stuff. We are really getting more of that immersive
yeah,
technology to watch things, and then the seashells in the ears, like
yeah.
headphones and stuff. And it's funny because this was written in like
Like the 50s.
1951, so I think he did a good job picturing the future in a way.
Yeah. And really just like the constant bombardment, you know, the constant bombardment of like media and advertisement and stuff like that. Like, even if
Yeah,
it's not the exact same format, but that kind of like culture around like the constant need for like distraction and
yeah,
entertainment, I feel like we definitely have that.
totally agree. I thought it was one really clever and interesting little detail, I think, was the billboards, talking about
Yeah,
these 200 feet billboards because the cars drive so fast. I just thought
yeah,
that was a
right.
really cool little detail.
Yeah. Um, Jared says the sense of unease, I feel like, would be similar to gaining the awareness the character is in this dystopian world. Yeah, I feel like that's definitely true. Um, because like the this bombardment of media is like to distract us all from gaining this awareness, and then as like Montag like slowly starts, then we also like start to um like feel more uneasy in this world that we've been like put in.
Yeah, I think that's a good observation. Let me see here. One of the questions I saw that was interesting, if I can pull it up,
Mm.
was oh, okay. Well, I can't find it. But another one is some stories can be set in any time and place. How important is the setting to Fahrenheit 451?
Mm.
Very high school question.
Mhm. Yeah, but That's interesting because obviously, like, it's a very different world from our own, but also not that different.
Right. Like it's familiar enough that we could see this stuff
Yeah,
happening to us or like be our
yeah.
future.
The thing which I found really kind of unsettling, and like one of the things I found super unsettling was when he's talking to his wife and neither of them can remember when they met 10 years
Yeah.
ago.
Hmm.
And like,
Yeah.
I guess because like their brains are becoming mush from not having to like um, think for themselves. Thank you, Jared. Jared says that he likes the mug that I'm using. Thank
um,
you. I have my nighttime tea.
I totally agree. I think it's definitely like it showed a lot about their like recall and their thinking abilities that
Yeah,
and if you notice too, and I'm sure you did, like whenever they have a conversation, it's like they're just kind of talking at each other about totally different things, especially his wife, like doesn't really
yeah,
respond to anything he's saying. It
yeah.
was very strange.
Super one-sided.
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And I wanted to tell you something that this really made me think about was a sociologist that I studied. I studied sociology in school, and his name is Adoro. I think it's Theodore Adoro. But anyway, one of his like theories is about how like is about what we do in our leisure time, and it's about how like capitalism, we're like so tired from like capitalism that in our
Hmm.
leisure time we, instead of using our leisure time to like improve ourselves or learn something new or read like about philosophy or history or about new ideas, we just like mindlessly consume, and the media does a really good job of distracting us and stopping us from question things, and um, just like to it doesn't we don't like have the tools to like understand the society that we live in or to change the society that we live in. And that really made me think about this book really made me think about that and kind of how I want to spend like my free time.
I think that's really interesting to even like when you bring that up because even reading this book was difficult for me because in my leisure time, I love how you say that. In my like free time or leisure
Yeah.
time, I would generally choose something that is more easy to consume,
Same.
like a thriller or it's still a book maybe, but
Yeah.
something lighter,
I
not
would choose
as
like a holiday romance.
yeah, something that doesn't require you to think as much. So it's funny,
Yeah.
like I'm guilty of what this book is doing myself in kind of like dumbing myself down and choosing cheap entertainment over like thought provoking
Yeah.
discourse stuff. So
Yeah,
that's
but it's not our fault. It's because we're so tired from like living in this
yeah.
really tiring world.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's what I meant when I said I found this book inspiring, that it inspired me to like do some other things. And like I this month I finished this book really quickly. I finished this book like within the first week
Oh
of
my
like the month.
gosh.
So then the last few weeks, then I've been like trying to do like my other hobbies and like play some instruments and stuff like that. So yeah, I found it inspiring, if
I
not
love that.
necessarily like my favorite book to read, you know?
Yeah, that's great. In the comments, Benjamin
Yes.
says we can really relate to that time dilation thanks to COVID. The wife does just stay in the house all the time. Yeah, it's kind of similar to what a lot of our lives have been like.
Yeah.
And I like what Jared said too. He and his wife, the dynamic between them was frightening. It felt more
Yeah.
like two people rooming together than a marriage. And it did. And not even just like two people rooming together, but two people rooming together who are not friends, even like
Yeah.
have very little interaction with each other.
Yeah.
Um, I think it was always kind of funny the way he described his room with her, like cold, like a tomb. Um, it was very symbolic of their marriage, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny how marriage in the novel is portrayed in general. Like one of her friends, this is her third marriage and her husband's third marriage. And she's just talking about his possible death. Like it's whatever, because
Yeah.
she has her family in the walls and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
because there
Yeah, it's
really is
super
no,
unsettling.
yeah,
It's like not making like actual meaningful connections,
exactly. Yeah.
And I think that Morag says like at the start of the book, he says something about like how much he loves his wife and how much like his wife is everything to him and the most important thing in his life. And then nothing else in the book like matches up with that. So it's like he's
Yeah.
telling himself this.
Well,
Like,
exactly. It's like all of these people, him included, like they end up in these marriages because that's the societal construct. And
yeah,
like they know, okay, this is what we're supposed to do, but they don't actually have the deeper relationship. Um, Same with like friendships. Oh, we're supposed to have friends, but then all they do is come over and watch the
yeah,
TV walls and stuff.
yeah.
Um, let's see. It's the first one where I've read the book. Thank you, Mark, for reading the book. I hope you enjoyed it. Jared, it's like a freshman year of college when you get room with someone who's a different major. You never talk or hang out. You pretty much just sleep in the same room. That's a great analogy.
Yeah,
Uh, totally agree.
for sure.
Um, what
Yeah,
did you think about Clarice?
yeah. Clarice is interesting because she was clearly like such an important person in his life and then in the whole plot, but she's not in it very much at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was worried with the direction they were gonna go with her, making her a 17-year-old girl. I'm like, God, please do not make her the love interest of this
oh, I
30-year-old
agree.
married guy. Um, Especially like at the time this book took place. It's like, oh
Yeah,
no. And I appreciate that they clarified that he sees her as a daughter,
yeah,
or that Bradbury
yeah,
clarified. Um, I'm glad because I was like, oh my God, we have this underage 1950s manic pixie dream girl bringing him to his awakening. And I was just kind of disgusted by that. So I'm really
yeah,
glad.
yeah, me too. I'm glad that there wasn't like any kind of love story
Yeah,
at all. It
totally
was
agree.
just about his awakening and like him finding like coming to terms with like the world that he's living in.
Right. One of the book club questions I saw was asking if you think she's really dead.
I don't think she's really dead at all.
You don't? That's funny.
And I I thought that like at the end of the book when there's like a little line about like I think that it says something about him like half expecting to meet Clarice,
Nice. Mhm.
Clarice like again in the future. And for me that was enough to be like, yeah,
Oh,
they definitely will.
I love that.
She ran away by the train track somewhere and they'll like meet somewhere in the forest.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. For some reason, it did not even occur to me that she could potentially still be alive. I just assumed
Yeah,
like totally took it at face value. And I think that was sort of even cemented for me when they killed that innocent man instead of Montag. And I was like,
yeah, yeah,
it's just, first of all, she was odd. Like she didn't
yeah,
fit into society. And the cars and everything were always racing around killing people. So if she wasn't killed by accident, I thought maybe she
yeah.
was just it was intentional. So I
This
thought
is
she was, but I like your view of it more.
I think that I guess that when they said what's Montag's boss called? Is
Oh,
it
in
Montag? Morag. I've been saying it's
Montag.
Montag, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's
His
Montag's boss
boss
called?
is called Fabe. No, Faber's the good guy. Beatty.
Uh, Yeah, Beatty.
Beatty or Beatty. The audiobook said
Uh,
Beatty, but
I
it could
I
very
read
well
it in
be
my head as
Beatty.
Beatty.
I did too.
Um, I think that because he says that Clarice is dead, so then I just automatically was like, this guy's not trustworthy.
Oh
It's not going
yeah.
to be true. But I will never know.
Exactly. I think I was inclined to believe the wife, even though she's like in her own la la land sometimes, just because
Yeah.
I like the way he found out about it. It was just like an offhand comment from the wife, like, whatever, she's dead. Like, she did not understand any of the importance of this girl.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Benjamin says, I think she's actually probably dead, especially considering the attempt on Montag's life with the car when he's on the run. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true also.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when when he's on the run and just gets like almost gets run over by some kids looking for thrills.
Yeah, that was so wild to me. They're just out joyriding. They're like, hey, let's kill this guy. Like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah. And the wife also says, something like, oh, when I'm feeling bad, then just like take the car and go drive really fast. You can like you'll definitely run over some animals or something, and like
Yeah.
something like that. And I was like, oh my goodness.
God. They're just
So
like so
trouble.
desperate for any sort of stimulus, I feel like.
Yeah, anything like any feeling.
Mhm. Mildred was really an interesting character to me because she had definitely some depths that we didn't get to see. Just based on her suicide attempt, I thought there was definitely something underneath where she was deeply unhappy and seeking something, especially where she was so attached to the TV and stuff, seeking connection. And also, I like how she was partially willing to try to read the books with him. Like for a
Yeah,
little while, she did try.
yeah, yeah. She wasn't super close-minded. Like she wasn't, she was like she was a bit open-minded at the beginning, and I think it's like what when Mildred's friends are around and he's like reading poetry at them or whatever, and one of
Yeah.
the women is like crying and is like, this is why we shouldn't feel things because poetry just brings pain and it just brings sadness.
Yeah.
And I thought that that was a really like interesting thing, that like we have to feel sadness to feel like true happiness. And
Yeah.
you know you can't just distract yourself from feeling anything so as not to feel the painful emotions.
Yeah. That was a very interesting scene to me, like her reaction to it. And it
Yeah,
also kind of showed that like these people intrinsically are capable of more. They're just so like conditioned to
yeah,
need all of that like screaming in your face stimulus all the time that they haven't ever used this part of themselves. But even the most seemingly vapid of them
yeah,
has something deeper that could
yeah,
be reached.
yeah. They do all have the depth there. It's just that they don't want to feel it. It's just like it's like like a willful ignorance.
Yeah. Looking back
Um,
at the
Jared
chat.
Jared said that Clarice is the antithesis of the society they built. So it's hard to imagine her being alive, but at the same time she could be alive because of the way Montag talks about her. Yeah, yeah, that's true. That
Yeah.
Clarice is really like she didn't fit into the world, into the society that they had created.
Yeah, I think that's spot on with what we were saying too, like
Yeah,
where I think she can't be alive because of how she was like such a threat to society, and you saying but the way he talks about her, you know.
yeah,
Um Kent says, I think marriages were superficial, like place holding in life. Totally agree. There's like they don't even remember where they met each other, but people know, oh, we're supposed to be married, so yeah,
yeah.
let me just get a husband. And
You know, the woman who had her third marriage, had she been divorced?
Let me text to get my neighbors to shut up.
I
And,
can't hear them.
oh, okay. Maybe can you guys let me know if you can hear my
Yeah.
neighbors in the background? Because I will get them to be quiet. I think her first husband, it did say how her husbands died. One of them was divorce, one of them was suicide.
Oh.
And one of them, I think, was some sort of accident or.
Because I think that, like, to get divorced in this society, it must show some kind of initiative to change your situation, you know?
Yeah. I was a little surprised by the divorce thing because it really seems
Yeah.
like these people don't
Question the life that they
yeah,
had.
or even interact with each other enough to be like, oh, I don't like this person. I need a like you don't even talk. What's the difference if you Okay, Jared can't hear anything, so I think I'm good. I'll just leave it alone.
Perfect. Yeah.
Keeps the knowledge and memories alive, so he keeps her in her heart and memory the same way with Clarice. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And that's like also like how they say that they're keeping the books alive by remembering the books. So the books will always exist as long as they exist. So I guess Clarice will always exist as long as Montag has that memory of her.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Benjamin. I knew that I couldn't remember how he was killed.
First of all, second killed in a jet. Yeah. The third suicide. Wow.
God, suicide was like extremely prevalent.
A lot of suicide, yeah.
Because they were so unhappy.
But very just brushing the carpet, you know?
Right?
Like just like a normal part of life.
Mm-hmm. I think it was really interesting how he immediately opened with her suicide attempt and just the reaction of the men that like pumped her stomach and stuff just did not care. Like, whatever. We have another 10 calls tonight with the same thing, you know?
Yeah. And that thing that they're not even like doctors, that their job is just specifically like this, pumping the stomach of people who've tried to commit suicide. Yeah, that was very unnerving.
And then her having no memory of it, being like, I wouldn't do that. It almost felt like even Montag, it felt like they were compartmentalized in such a way that it was like there's this top layer of them that's all like, okay, bright lights, loud sounds. I need all this coming at me all the time. And then very deep underneath that is like more of the human side.
And also like Beatty was like such an interesting and frustrating character because he's read these books, he has like so much knowledge, and yet he is using it to like maintain this like awful society.
And it was so funny because I would have to analyze it a little bit more, but it really seemed like he was, whether purposely or not, like misinterpreting a lot of what was said, like the exact opposite of what the author intended it to mean. It was so funny to me. Okay, let me go ahead and block this. If I can figure out how.
Oh yeah.
Okay. There. I don't know if that worked or not, but I tried.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, it's deleted.
Okay.
The scary thing is suicide is getting so prevalent today. It's like a lot of people have become numb to it. It feels like the shockwave that suicide tends to cause is getting smaller and smaller. Yeah. And that's a really like horrible and scary thing that it's true, that we're becoming desensitized to it because it's prevalent.
Yeah. And I think in their world too.
Yeah, very much in their world.
And so they had so little connection with other people. Like, what difference would it make if somebody committed suicide, you know? Like,
yeah, and like the war as a whole, you know, like the war is beginning throughout the whole book, but no one feels emotionally connected to it. No one feels like anything personal about it. It's just
Right.
like a very far off thing that
Even the woman whose husband was being called away to the war was like, I don't have to worry about it. He'll worry about it. Like, whatever.
yeah,
It was,
which
it
I
was,
do think is true, like not to the same extent, but it is true that in like in real life also, you know, we like hear about things in numbers, like you know, we hear like this number of refugees or like this number, and there's such big numbers that we can't like even comprehend, and it feels so distant from us and like depersonalized, you
yeah,
know, that it's
yeah,
easy to
exactly.
not feel like an emotional connection to it.
Mhm. And like, and even these wars in other parts of the world, it's like, well, it's not happening right here, so I don't need to worry myself about it. But then taken to the extreme, like, oh, it's not happening right here, right now, in this moment, so it doesn't
Yeah,
exist, you know, even
yeah.
though it could be here in 3 seconds. Like,
Yeah, well, in the book, the whole city gets like, sorry, spoilers. The whole like city like blows up, doesn't it?
yeah,
At
the
the
whole
end.
thing is just leveled.
Yeah,
And moments before that, they were watching this chase on TV of this one guy, like,
yeah,
not talking at all about the war. But then
yeah.
they can get everybody up off their feet at the doors, out looking for Montag
Hmm.
for entertainment's sake, you know. But then nobody cares about this war. I don't know.
Yeah. That's another thing, another point by this sociologist, Adoro, that the news gives us this illusion of being informed when actually it's like so oversimplified, but also so like over dramatized that it's
Mm,
just a different form of like sensational media that actually doesn't give us any real information about anything we
yeah,
actually really need to know.
yeah. That I can definitely see that in our world, much less theirs.
Yeah.
Like to the nth degree in the book, you know?
What did you
Uh,
think of the Hound? The Hound was so scary to me.
I know.
I
Especially
thought
like,
so much about the Hound.
and being such a dog person too, I'm like, oh, mechanical puppy. And you hear about it, it's like this spider dog with a
Yeah.
scorpion like stinger. It's like, oh my God. And it can just contract somebody across an entire city with just a little bit of their whatever
Yeah.
that molecules or something, you know, can smell them.
Yeah.
I thought that
Yeah.
definitely Montag's fear was justified with the hound.
Yeah, I really felt that fear.
Mhm.
Um, and it was also creepy, like that they're, you know, using the Hound like to kill rats and stuff in their free time.
Yeah, it's just I, they had no worries about death. I'm gonna mute for a second so I can sneeze.
But bless you. I'll have a look at the comments.
It didn't come.
Oh, I hate it when that happens.
I know it's been happening all day.
Yeah, it came out in 1951. So that was 2 or 3 years after the US dropped the nukes rate. I don't know, I have to say. Yeah,
I'm not. I should know.
I also wonder how it would be reading this like in the context of the Cold War, you know?
Yeah.
Because like now, like in this time, and also like from the UK, then I don't feel like I have as much of a connection to it as you might have as like Americans in general. You might have like more of a feeling like of connection to that in your history.
Yeah. I would say for me, not too much because
Yeah,
even in school, I feel like it's not covered as much as more distant history.
yeah.
But
It's
uh
actually super recent, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I feel like with all of the technological advancements that were happening at the time, and then the war right before, and then the war coming. It was probably very relevant to the people when this was written, you know?
Yeah. And did you read in your copy or in your audiobook, did it have any like preface, like forward? What's it called? Yeah. Anyway, did it have anything about like when the book was written, or like,
No.
because I read a bit at the back of my book, then it has like a forward and an afterword. Is that the right word?
Yeah, I think.
About, yeah, afterward
Yeah.
and forward about like written by Bradbury. And it was just about like how difficult it was to get published because
Oh.
because no one wanted anything to do with, like, no one wanted to publish a book about censorship when censorship was happening in the
Yeah,
States.
that makes
And it
sense.
actually got published in Playboy.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that's so funny. How progressive.
yeah, I know. And this was, I think he wrote like some other short stories with the same kind of theme. About, he wrote one short story called like The Fireman, and some other short stories with the same kind of theme of like censorship and like burning. And then he wrote this, like, he hired a typewriter in a library and like wrote it in a like, you know, paying by the hour for a typewriter in a library
Oh, that's funny.
in the space of like a few weeks, I think. Yeah.
Um, what you said made me think about like the burning of the books in general, because I don't think we've really talked much about that,
Yeah.
but I'm glad with the way it was handled because I was like, you know, burning books isn't going to just make everybody stupid, you know. I thought
Yeah.
it was interesting how it was almost just like symbolic and for show and entertainment, the
Yeah.
burning, because at that point the people didn't read books anyway. They couldn't
Yeah.
understand them anyway. It was just more for like for show, kind of, I
Yeah.
guess, by then.
Yeah. And it's not exactly that like every book is banned. Like, you know, you could buy, like, you could have like a manual or like a handbook, but it's
Mhm.
just that like it started off with like a small list of books that were banned, and then that list just grew to almost everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is yeah. And also like the idea of burning books is like such an, I feel like it's such an emotive thing for us. And
Hmm.
like in other book, in other, like in the Book Thief, um where they're like burning books and it's like so emotive. But I like how Fahrenheit 451 explains like the process, that it wasn't that, you know, it wasn't that the burning of the books was imposed on people, is that people stopped reading books and then it like filtered up.
Right. I think I can see that being partially because like books were so upsetting to people who didn't understand them. It was more so like not even the book so much as that like academic disparity, I guess,
Yeah.
between people who were frustrated with those who were maybe more intellectual,
Yeah.
um, and just saw them as like almost villains or like an opposition. So they
Yeah.
leveled the playing field, so to say, and dumbed
Yeah.
everybody down. Like, have you ever read Harrison Bergeron?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so it's like I bring it up a lot, way more than I should in daily life. But it's like a short story or maybe even novella by Kurt Vonnegut. And the whole premise is that it's a future society where everybody is basically handicapped to the lowest common denominator. So if you have somebody who's intelligent, they have to wear this like earpiece that emits these
Oh.
frequencies that make them stop thinking at a higher
Oh.
level. Or if they're extra strong, they have to wear weights, physical weights that weigh them down, all kinds of stuff like
Yeah.
that. Um, so that kind of resonated with me in this,
Yeah.
like taking away the tools for people to intellectualize themselves, leveling that playing field, so to say.
Yeah. And they said how like it became an insult. Like anything to do with being intelligent became like an insult. Do you think that that could ever happen, like in real life, where we value, because they really value like sports and things like that? Do you think that that could happen where we value like physical strength or other things more than we value intelligence?
I definitely think it could. I actually feel like it's swinging the other way. I just feel like, and I don't know if this is actually how it was, but if you like say watch a movie from the 90s, there's the stereotype of the jock who really has everything handed to him, whereas the nerd is always like has the hard life and stuff. But I feel like it's almost moving in the opposite direction where intelligence is getting a lot more respect and admiration now. I could
Yeah,
be
I think
totally
so
wrong,
too.
but that's what I'm
No, I
seeing.
think
Yeah.
so too. Intelligence and like creativity. I think that we are. I think that we're kind of like gaining an appreciation for the arts
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Although that's not necessarily things that we are like super focused on in school. Like in school, I
Yeah.
do think that like being good at sports is very well rewarded. Um, and like being like maths or science smart rather than being like creative or like language smart.
Yeah.
Not that I like to like divide those things because I think that that's like a fake division, that if
But
you're good at math then you're not creative, but you know
I
what I
totally
mean.
get what you're saying. Like, especially with the push for like STEM education. I don't know if that's what they call it where you are, but the
Yeah,
science, technology, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah. It's almost like pushing arts and language and stuff to the background so that we can get ahead in these up and coming, like lucrative STEM fields, you know?
yeah, yeah, the fields which earn the most money.
Mm-hmm. Um, Kent said, didn't all the tech decline morale and social and other things? And I'm not sure historically. Um, I honestly, that's not something that I would be able to weigh in on because history is like not my.
Reviewer. Yeah, and Jared mentions that it's like the book burning that took place in Nazi Germany, and which wasn't that long before this book was written. It probably still would have been like fairly fresh in like people's minds.
Yeah. So I think Benjamin was saying it's happening now in terms of valuing a lot of things more than like intelligence. And I agree that there's certain groups that do that. I think maybe I'm a little bit insulated. I always wonder this, like if I'm on TikTok on my For You page, or if I'm on like my Facebook or something, it's like an echo chamber of things that I think.
Yeah,
So sometimes I'm like, okay, maybe people really do value these things because I do, and I associate with people that do. But then he's saying we have a whole political party that uses the word arrogant as an attack on informed opinions. And yeah,
yeah,
sometimes that's true. So
yeah, and that's so true about the echo chamber that
yeah,
like Instagram and TikTok and all of these platforms do a great job of showing us what we already like, what we already agree with. So
mhm,
then it's the same for me. I think like I'm like, oh well, everyone that I see thinks the same as me. So
yeah.
everyone must think the same as me. And someone with a different opinion is experiencing the same thing.
And
So
that can be really good for peace of mind, but it can be really bad for things like radicalization. Because if you are surrounded by people echoing these like messed up sentiments that you believe and just
yeah,
like egging you on, you can kind of get worse and worse in your
yeah,
thinking. So,
yeah. It happened to me in the I won't get too much into politics, but in the last general election, and I really felt that like that Labour was going to have a massive win. Everyone I knew was so like behind it and
yeah,
so excited, and there was such like a feeling of like morale, I feel like, with other young people, and we felt like there was someone who represented how we
Yes,
believe. And then it was like the worst loss in decades.
that
And I
is
was so
too.
shocked,
Yeah.
genuinely.
And the exact same thing happened to me because of the echo chamber. It's like
Yeah,
okay, so I saw a post and it resonated so deeply with me, and it was I can't tell if the post was, I can't tell if Bernie Sanders actually has a chance at the presidency or if it's just all of my friends in an echo
yeah,
chamber making me think that. I
yeah,
think that's very similar to what you experienced.
exactly. And it's really hard to tell what the actual like public feeling is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me have a look. Ken says books are supposed to invoke and why people avoid feeling anything but safe, good feelings. That's like what we were saying about
Yeah.
the Mildred's friends in the parlor room, that they're like they're so angry at Montag for like
Yeah.
making them feel an unpleasant emotion. Yeah.
Totally. Um, Jared says, I think there was a shift in young people. I remember Ashton Kutcher won some award and his speech was intelligence is sexy, and that
Mm,
went viral. But I feel like that was a cultural shift
yeah.
almost. Yeah. And I think of if you guys have seen it, the 21 Jump Street movie, and it's so stupid with the new one, and I can't remember, is it Channing Tatum in
I
it?
think so. Yeah.
And it's funny because like they're going back to high school and he's expecting to be like super cool again,
That's true.
but he's not because now what's in is like the nerdy like
Yeah.
guy, and he's kind of just like uncool, the
Yeah.
uncool jock. So I think
It's like a
that
dumb joke.
mm,
Benjamin says that Facebook is an interesting exception. They intentionally show people things that they thought would upset them, and that's really true. And
oh,
that's why I don't use Facebook, which is actually really bad,
I had to
because
stop.
I yeah, because I don't use it because it shows me opinions I don't agree with, which actually
Well,
is a terrible way to function, isn't it?
it kept showing me animal abuse stuff, so I was like,
Oh my
no, no, thank
goodness.
you.
Oh my goodness. For me, it was just a lot of politics
Yeah,
stuff that made me really angry. But
yeah,
yeah, that's true actually. Facebook is an interesting exception. And I wonder like if that has a difference. Like I think that Facebook is more popular with an older generation,
mhm.
and like the other things are more popular with like our generation and like the younger generation. And I wonder if the younger generation likes to stick our heads in the sand more, surround ourselves with what's
Could
comfortable.
be, yeah.
Maybe the older generation is happier, like is more comfortable being riled up and
It might be
getting
too
being
that
so close.
maybe they spend less time online in general, so they're
Yeah,
like
that might be
they can
true.
take it in minimal exposure, whereas
Yeah,
like we're online all the time, so it's like, okay, I can't look at negative stuff all day every day, you know.
that's true. That's very true.
Mhm. Jared says, I think this book paired with 1984 offers a terrifying picture of a possible future.
Mm,
Agree, but at least this one was like much more positive in the ending than 1984. And I don't want to spoil that
yeah,
because that's not the book we're talking about. So I don't want to ruin it for anybody. But um, this one definitely has more hope at the ending.
yeah, yeah. What did you think of the ending? Did you think like, yeah, were you hopeful about the ending? Did you feel like it's a lost cause?
Um, I think it's not a lost cause. I don't honestly, I'm not sure how to feel about the ending. I was kind of frustrated by it, but it's exactly kind of how I expected it to go. I didn't expect there to be
Yeah,
a firm ending with like, oh, they're
yeah,
gonna rise up and change society right away. That would have been such a stupid cop out. So I'm glad they didn't try to do that. And I'm glad they didn't just like, okay, Montauk's dead. Everything continues as the status quo. This is very depressing.
yeah,
So I like the ending in, well, I do and I don't. The ending is fine. Um, but I don't know. I don't know really what's going to happen or if if it's cyclical like this and it happens over and over and they're forever losing information because though they have people that are the books, and remember, it's never going to be an exact duplication and it's sort of like a game of telephone. Even with this is it just going to be a gradual dumbing of society within the cycles, if that makes any sense. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I thought the ending was, I thought that it was like a fair and like realistic ending. You know? I agree. I'm glad that they didn't just like kill him off, or also be like, oh great, they like all the firemen love books now.
Yeah.
Society
Or
is
we killed killed all the firemen, like that, like the whole thing. I think it was very realistic that it is a process that will take time. I'm just gonna say, Benjamin, your comment is really, really funny, and people that have read 1984, I like that. It's cute, so that's funny to me.
I haven't read it, so I can't say.
It's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I think overall, what would you rate the book? Because this one's a hard one to rate for me.
It's a really hard one to rate because I didn't like. I had to the book, what was it called? Little Fires Everywhere. Even though I didn't really like that book, I looked forward to reading it more than I looked forward to reading this one. I had to like force myself to read it every night. But I did find it really I did find it inspiring, and I was thinking about it a lot, and I was talking about it a lot. Like I had a lot of conversations with people. I was like, okay, let me tell you about this thing that I read. Let me tell you about your life. Yeah, so I don't know. I'll rate it a 3.5.
I think that's fair. I think I'm totally in the same boat as you. Like, I would have to give it 2 separate ratings, one for like value and writing, and two, like second for enjoyment. Because enjoyment, I would give it like a 1 or a 2. Did not enjoy reading it, but the value of it and like how thought provoking it was, probably a 5. So average to like a 3.5. But
I agree 100% with that breakdown.
Jared, what did you do to us? Why did you make us read this book? It's all your fault, Jared.
I do feel like I learned stuff.
Yeah, and it's a short book. Thank you, God.
It was a short book also, which I appreciate.
Yeah, but it was definitely a valuable read and thought-provoking, and I haven't really had to think about a book like that in a very long time because I haven't forced myself to read like literature in a long time. It's very much been entertainment. So
yeah, exactly. And so like for like a literature book, then it was like it wasn't like super difficult to read. It was a short, easy-ish to read, and I feel like I learned something.
Yeah. Oh, Jared, I'm joking with you. It was fine. It was okay. Listen, we survived.
We're glad we read it.
Just hear my cat. Can you hear my cat wheezing?
Oh, I can't. Is that your cat?
Loud.
Are they okay?
He's fine, but
okay.
Here, be silent for a second. He just did it. I don't know if you can hear it. Maybe they can, because he is loud, guys.
Oh, bless.
He snores in his sleep. He's so cute.
I really like this point by Benjamin. He said that every time he reads it, something new grabs his attention. This time I thought more about how Montag can't pull off the plan because he's still impatient in a society that encourages that impatience.
That's a great comment. Yeah, that's a great comment. It was really shown when he's like with the poetry and he just wants to like, oh, we lost. Oh, there you are. I thought I lost you.
I had to turn my phone on battery saver mode.
Okay. Like he just wants to shock these women and get an immediate reaction instead of displaying patience,
Yeah, exactly. And it is definitely a society that encourages impatience.
Mhm.
And like I think that like now with like TikTok and like just like and even like Netflix and YouTube, just like an overwhelming amount of choice. And like we're never bored. We're never like we always
Right.
have like so much entertainment at our
Mhm.
fingertips and like videos, you know, on TikTok that last like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And
I
I
mean,
do
even
feel
the
myself
3-minute
being
TikToks.
impatient.
Yeah. I'm like, "Oh, 3 minutes? What?"
It's too long.
Can't you condense your whole life story down into 30 seconds? Why
I
do I need to
know.
listen to 3 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really true.
Mhm.
I wonder if I have hope for Montag and his like crew, you
Yeah.
know.
And I feel like he's definitely got some good mentorship there. Like, God, what a group. Like all of these super educated former
Yeah,
professors and stuff, you know?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Do you have anything else? Do you want to talk about this month's book club?
Yeah. So, if unless anything changes, it's the first Friday of the month normally. So it should be January. Oh, wow. Okay. Come on, calendar. Well, it's January something, January 7th.
January the 7th. That will be fine with me.
Yep. And
I will be in Jordan then.
oh
So
goodness,
we
look at
might
you.
want to change the we might want to change the time a little bit because 4:30 would be 11:30 p.m.
That's
for me,
fine.
and it might be
Yeah,
a little bit late.
we can do earlier.
That's fine. Anyway, we'll confirm that.
Yeah. And I really liked a few of the suggestions from last time that didn't
Yeah,
win, but were in the top. So I think maybe we could use one of
perfect.
those for
Let's
this
use
time
those.
around.
There is have you heard of Sally Rooney? Have you read any books by Sally Rooney?
No.
She's an author that I really like who has a new book out, but it might still be in hardback. So I don't want to,
Okay.
if it's only in hardback, then I don't want to do it because it's quite expensive and like for everyone,
Mhm.
you know. So I'll have a look at that and
Okay.
maybe we can add that to the list and we'll
Got it.
just reuse the ones from
Yep.
last month. Do you have any new suggestions or books you want to read?
Not me personally, but if the group has any that they would like to add, we can write them down now. Jared, no, vetoed, vetoed.
No War and Peace.
I love
Sleeping
it.
Satellite.
You're
I
so
don't
funny.
really listen to Pink Floyd, I have to say.
I used to. I don't listen to music anymore. I only listen to ASMR. It's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, like all day, every day while I'm working, I listen to ASMR. Music
Same.
gets me too worked up.
Yeah.
Or the owner's manual for a car. He's got jokes. You're funny, Jared. Guy's got jokes. Founded.
Nice,
Why? Why are you doing this to us? No,
nice.
no, Ayn Rand.
Nothing long or difficult.
I need something light for the holiday season.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. A Christmas.
Or murderous. It doesn't have to be light. It just has to be something fun. Benjamin says no. You're saying no to the Fountainhead and not to
Yeah,
something
the
fun.
easy read.
Yes. Any other suggestions? And if the Fountainhead was serious, I'm sorry for laughing at it. It's just I think too deep for me right now.
We need a break, maybe in like a few months or a year, once we're like used to once we practice like hard reading a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so he says no to the Fountainhead.
Okay.
No fun, only pain. I'm gonna kick you out of book club. You're not invited anymore.
That's not what book club is about, Jared.
No,
book club is about fun, relaxation,
Yeah.
reading.
I'm gonna bring tea next time. I'm jealous of your tea. What kind of
Cozy.
tea is it?
It's called nighttime tea
Oh,
because
cute.
I'm an old lady.
Oh,
Yeah, it's called nighttime tea. It's like chamomile and lavender,
I
and
love chamomile.
it's quite nice. It's a
That's
bit cold.
nice. We have sleepy time tea here. I don't know if that's the same as nighttime
I'm not
tea.
sure of it. Yeah, there's a little. The brand is Pucker. Pucker nighttime tea. Quite nice.
Cute.
Fiji house. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that. We can.
Yeah, we'll have a look.
Would you ever be interested in a true crime book?
Oh, yeah.
But potentially. Generally, I only read fiction. But depending on the book, I might be interested. So it's a possibility.
Yeah. I would definitely be up for a thriller this month.
Yeah.
A little mystery.
Change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Our last two have been so we had the intellectual one, and then Little Fires Everywhere was interesting. I guess it was a drama.
Yeah, I guess it was a drama. It's like a family drama, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's been a little while since we read a thriller.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Little Fires Everywhere is probably like the kind of book, I guess, that I would usually read. Although it wasn't my favorite, but
oh, that's cool. All takes place about 50 feet from my house.
oh, really? Is this a true crime, Jared? Benjamin says, "Give me a genre." Yeah, let's go for a thriller then. This month. Well, we'll see anyway. What gets chosen in the little poll.
And Sleeping Satellite says The Agony and Ecstasy by Irving Stone. It's about the trials Michelangelo went through to paint the Sistine Chapel. He went partially blind.
That does sound like a super interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm emotionally
I don't know.
Ready.
Yes, it is wild. I literally walked around my town looking at all the places involved. That's cool.
Oh, wow.
I have read The Silent Patient, and it was interesting. I put it on a pedestal, so I actually didn't end up liking it because I so looked forward to reading it, and I was like, I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to get it from the library and behave myself. So I put it on the wait list for 16 weeks, and I waited, and I was like, this is going to be the best book of the year. I know it. So I hyped it up too much and didn't end up liking it enough to
justify the hype.
Yeah. Or a classic Agatha Christie, potentially.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you guys have any final comments about the book Fahrenheit 451, I'll just open it up for any final comments. I didn't love it, Jared. I didn't love The Silent Patient, so I feel so negative in the book club. It's so funny because before you joined, I feel like I was much more positive about the books, and now I'm like, I didn't like it.
Well, I feel like if it is like by yourself, like talking, like hating on a book, then it is a little bit more negative. When we're hating on a book together, then it's fine.
Yeah, I just can't shit talk it for an hour by myself, It looks pretty bad.
Yeah, so far neither of us have like been super like in love with the books that we've read.
Yeah.
There's still time.
No Exit by Taylor Adams. I feel like I've heard of that a couple of times, and I think I have it on my list actually. But I'm also thinking of the play by Sartre and of the same name, but no, I think I have No Exit on my list. So write that down. Okay. Well, thank you for the suggestions, guys. And thank you so, so much for joining us. It was fun talking about the book with you, Eliza, and you guys in the
Always a
comments.
pleasure.
Yay. Yeah, I really like I like now that we do it together because I love the comments and everybody getting involved, and but it's easier to, you know, like have a dialogue with a person instead of just, like you said, rambling about it for an hour.
Yeah, and especially when there's a little delay and
Right.
it just flows a little bit better.
Yeah, totally.
And there's a couple of people. Thank you for having me again. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Jared dug deep for the suggestion to redeem himself. Okay, so even if we don't read it in book club, I will read it, Jared, and I will attack you in Instagram DMs if I don't like it. So
she will come for you, Jared.
I will come for you. You will hear from me about it. All right. Well,
Saludo de
Roma.
Roma.
Oh, I want pasta.
Buonasera. Sorry, I'm trying very hard to say good night.
I love it.
I wouldn't. Anyway,
all right.
Saluto.
And yes, Lord of the Rings. You know, I actually didn't like the books, but I love the movies. Love the movies. Yeah. The books a little long for me, but Jared, I gotta work hard to dig myself out of this hole. No, the hole's not deep at all. At least it was a short book. And honestly, it did have a lot of value. So you're okay.
It was a good book.
Okay. Well, thank you, Eliza. And thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next month on the 7th, and we'll probably have a poll up here soon, unless we choose to just pick the book ourselves. And so
and we'll let you know. We'll let you know exactly what time.
Yep. It'll be probably earlier.
Yeah.
This one, which is fine with me.
Yeah, and on the first Friday, which will be like the 7th.
Yep. Okay.
Amazing.
And I did not know Tolkien was in the Secret Service. Did you know that?
I did not know.
No.
I did go to Hobbiton in New Zealand.
Of course you did. Of course you did. I'm so jealous.
If that counts.
Oh, it was
so really jealous. Cool. It was super cool.
And no worries, Kent. You actually had some great suggestions from last month that I will probably still include because they sounded really good. So you were totally fine. Oh,
actually, because Fahrenheit 451 won by loads. I guess also because it was like familiar to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot of other good books that didn't get a look in.
Yeah. All right. Well, I am going to end us here. And thank you again, guys, for joining us. And we will see you very soon.
Bye.
Bye.